Just a quick little PSA. We have two upcoming live shows. The live shows are on October 9th, 2021 for New York Comic Con, and October 17th, 2021 for DC Fandom. And both of those will be available on our profile on Spreaker if you go to bit.ly slash TMRPC. Again, that's bit.ly slash TMRPC. If you want to support the show, the best way you can is through any of the books or current ongoing Vela shorts that are being released on a regular basis. The easiest way to find this is to go to bit.ly slash tmrbooks, and you'll have links there to everything. All of my Kindle books are available for free. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you don't have to pay anything. You get it with your subscription. You can read them all. They're all in screenplay format. That includes Swan Song, The Muses, Duet, In the End, Our Past Does Not Define Us. Anything else that I've written that's available on Kindle, it's available there. You can buy a soft cover if you want. There's a hardcover collection of all of the Swan Song books, all combined into one. That's available as a hardcover. You can pre-order Echo Alpha, which is coming out in November. All of these things are available if you go on Amazon. But quick link, if you go bit.ly slash tmrbooks, I have them all there, nice, easily cataloged. Also, down toward the bottom, we have the Kindle Vela content. The first 3 episodes are always free, and then after that, there's a token system that you can use to read. Even if you don't like it, just give it a thumbs up. That way we can get it up higher so more people see it. So one final time, that's bit.ly slash tmrbooks, and every Wednesday there's a new Vela book that goes up. Taser and Acrobat, Nanite and Rosebud, Tales from Another World, and The Alchemist and the Illusionist. All go up on Wednesdays, and it's all available on Kindle Vela. All of this is available bit.ly slash tmrbooks. Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. We have quite a bit of news to go through. So let's talk first about the statement by Victoria Alonso about upcoming Marvel projects. Now, she said there are currently 31 Marvel projects in development, which sounds like a lot. But if you go through what is currently in development, it kind of makes sense. So I kind of listed them out, and we're going to go through them one by one to see what's coming, and then, speculate about the empty slots. This is in no particular order, just in whatever order I remembered them, and I think I got them all. So, first we have the Eternals, we have Hawkeye, we have Miss Marvel, The Marvels, Blade, Fantastic Four, Armor Wars, Secret Invasion, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special, the Halloween Special that was just announced with Werewolf by Night, Loki Season 2, What If Season 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Thor Love and Thunder, Moon Knight, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the as-of-yet subtitled Captain America 4, the as-of-yet subtitled Deadpool 3, Ironheart, She-Hulk, and I guess we'll include Spider-Man No Way Home, because I think that's a Marvel co-production. So when we talked about it a few weeks ago, the schedule where they were going to put new movies out, we did not count Spider-Man in that because Spider-Man and Spider-adjacent properties do not count as Marvel productions for the sake of that because they're distributed by Sony. In the case of this, because they're a co-production, I guess we will count No Way Home just to do it. Also, there's a spin-off of Hawkeye coming about Echo, so that's taking up those spots. There are a few empty spots that I think are things that we can kind of just assume are in development right now. I think that we can concretely say that an Avengers 5 is in development. And that's pretty straightforward. That is us looking at the fact that, the last Avengers movie made $2.7 billion. I think it's pretty straightforward. They're going to be making another one. Based on the box office success, I think we can say Shang-Chi 2 is coming. Oh, there's also a Wakanda prequel series from Ryan Coogler for Disney+. We also know there's an X-adjacent property coming. And what I mean by that is there is a mutant property coming at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Kevin Feige said, like, these plans all include all of the stuff we haven't talked about: Captain Marvel 2, or Black Panther 2, or the Fantastic Four, or the mutants. So the mutants are definitely coming. My projection for an X-adjacent movie would be, I think we're going to start with a solo movie, and I think they're going to stray away from Wolverine. I think they're going to stray away from Jean Grey. I think if we're going to launch with an X-adjacent movie to begin this world, I think it's going to be Storm. A Storm solo movie is probably the smartest way to go, unless they go with, like, Gambit. But I think Storm is probably the smartest way to go. It is a shame that we will never see a relationship between Storm and Black Panther, but nothing we can do about that. I also think that if they aren't developing a second Black Widow movie about Yelena, that would also be a misfire on their part. I really loved Florence Pugh's Yelena. Like the sarcasm and like, you know, like the tired of this shit coming from her was just so fun to watch. I hope they have more coming from her. And I think it would be silly if they didn't. I think that Gunn has gone on the record saying that after Guardians 3, he is done with Marvel, which means they need a new... I think that Drax, that Dave Bautista also said he's done with Guardians 3. I think they need a new spacefaring character, and especially if Carol is going to take a more grounded to Earth approach. I think that I mentioned Secret Invasion, right? Yeah, I did. I think that if Carol is going to be more grounded to Earth, in the Marvels, where Spectrum and who was the other one? Spectrum and Miss Marvel are going to be in that. I think that we do need another spacefaring hero. I think we're going to get a Nova movie. I think if we can't bury our heads in the sand about this, there will eventually be a Nova movie. They have set it up at this point. And I also think that Eternals has a sequel in development. I don't think it's been confirmed yet because they don't want to count their, chickens before they've hatched with Eternals because the movie hasn't come out yet. But I think that, if they're talking about things that are in development, I think Eternals 2 has to be in that conversation of being in development. So it is very possible that there are 31 titles in development. I'm just speculating about the other ones, but, who knows. Let's see what else was there. Marvel is not having a good news week. They are in a trademark dissolution lawsuit with the estates of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and various other creators because apparently they have the ability to terminate the copyright on these characters or the trademark on these characters in 2023, and they are willing to take that. It makes sense. If they had this option and they didn't take it, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because, listening back, there was an episode of Fat Man Beyond where they had on Ed Brubaker, famously the creator of The Winter Soldier. For a long time, Bucky was dead. He was the guy who came in the 90s and resurrected Bucky as the Winter Soldier. And if you look at, how little he got offered even, for his creation, it wouldn't make sense for these other people to be like, yeah, well, we'll just accept how little money, it's insulting how little money Marvel pays for these things. And it's like, we heard back a few weeks ago that, the guy who wrote Secret Wars, was in negotiations with Marvel about something, and part of it, his agent or someone read the contract very thoroughly, and it's like, this includes signing away your movie rights to what you've written previously. And he didn't sign the contract because they want to eventually do a Secret Wars movie, and it's like, I think it's the worst kept secret out of Marvel Studios that they want to do a Secret Wars movie, because it's like, they kind of alluded to it in Loki. They didn't allude to it in Loki. They outright talked about Secret Wars in Loki. But they have that. They have the Russo said that if they come back to another Avengers movie, they would do it if they're doing Secret Wars, and then it's like, oh, that's cool. And then there was a thing about how they were in negotiations with Marvel to come back for something big, but it fell through with the Black Widow lawsuit from Scarlett Johansson, and it's coming at some point, but that's it. And I think it's just kind of fucked up that, like, we live in this world where people being very transparent about how they're being paid and how much someone can be taken advantage of before they snap or before they stop working with these people. And historically, comic creators have been paid like shit. So looking at this and looking at what's going on with with all of this, I'm not surprised by this. I am surprised that Marvel wasn't more willing to negotiate, because this kind of just highlights the problem further, that you're owned by one of the largest companies on the planet. You're owned by the Walt Disney Company, and you're willing to spend they literally spent $1 billion on Infinity War and Endgame, and they're not willing to stick the crowbar into their wallets a little bit to pay the creators a little bit more. Because, like, look, I understand it's work for hire. And I understand that it's, they got paid initially to do it, and they don't have a right not that they don't have a right, but like they created it initially, they got paid then. Like, if they didn't sign a good contract, then that's on them. I understand that argument. But at the same time, you can't sit here and be like, they couldn't have foreseen that they were going to make this into a movie. Because, like, think back 10 years ago, even when they made Iron Man, 12 years ago now, when they made Iron Man. If you told me when Iron Man came out that the highest grossing movie of all time for a period, until Avatar took it back, the highest grossing Marvel Studios movie of all time that's going to come in line with this movie will feature Spider-Man in the Iron Spider suit from Civil War. Not an identical thing, but like, an upgrade to it. In that, clinging to Mjolnir, thrown by Captain America while he clutches a Tony Stark constructed Infinity Gauntlet with all the Infinity Stones in it. I would have assumed you were lying. And I think to an extent, it's like these people, when they did this, they're like, well, look at what we have. We have Superman had a movie in 1976, like Batman had the movie in 1966, like, and then between then and 89, when Keaton had his, it was kind of a drought of superhero movies. Like, there was the Helen Slater Supergirl, but at that time, these creators didn't have film options in their contracts, because who the fuck would make one of these movies? Like, why would they bother? Who would watch this? But now they're the highest grossing movies of all time, and these creators are getting fucked on the back end, which is a double entendre that works. But because they're getting screwed, they deserve the right to renegotiate these contracts. And if that ability is coming up where it's like, look, that's fine. You can do that. Like, you can not pay me, but I'm taking my toys and going home. If I can legally do that, I will take my toys and go home. And I think all Marvel had to do was realize, oh shit, they can do this. The estate of Stan Lee, and I think had Stan Lee still been alive, this probably wouldn't have been as big a deal, but because Stan Lee is now passed, all they had to do was go to the families and be like, look, we're willing to renegotiate so we don't have to go to a legal proceeding over this. And this is entirely on Marvel Studios or Marvel Entertainment. I think Marvel Entertainment as a whole had to be the ones to do it, but they didn't. And now it's going to be a big, ugly legal battle, or they end up having to pay more than they did, because this is going to hurt them. Because, look, they can't afford to lose Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Black Widow. All of these characters are tied up in this lawsuit. And not just the characters, but like the imagery that goes along with them, and all of the iconography that goes along with them. And that's a huge loss if they were to lose. Like, if they lose Spider-Man, oh my god, that is huge. And it's like, I think that the lawsuit's gonna not come to a full, court legal battle. It's gonna come to a settlement, like the one that what's it called? The one that the creators of Superman had. But I at the end of the day, that's still not a good out. It's not a good look when you already had people outspoken about how you're screwing the creators on the back end, and you're not offering them anywhere near what seems right for what they've done to do this, and it's like it's insulting, and on top of it, you're like, and now this is happening where it's like you're now put in a situation where you now have to countersue to keep the trademarks, and it's like, and how does that look? Where it's like the Walt Disney Company now has to sue the estates of beloved comic creators to keep the trademarks, and it's like, who's gonna root for them in that? It's like, it's not a good look. You should have just negotiated before you got to this point. But you know, I just it's a bad situation all around, and they handled it in the worst way possible. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Marvel debacle that's currently going on. On a happier note, well, depending on who you ask, we have a new trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I'm looking forward to a lot. It's probably my most anticipated game coming in the future. I love the way it looks and how the play style looks different from all the rest. We got our first look at how gyms appear to be working, and it appears there's going to be a new evolution to Scyther that's not Scizor, where it's like Scizor, like if you evolve Scyther into Scizor, this new one wouldn't be an evolution on top of that. This would be a divergent evolution. Cool. All for it. Let's see how the game is when it comes out. Looking forward to this. What else was there? We got an announcement that the Book of Boba Fett will be coming on December 29th. So for all of you who never got a lump of coal for Christmas, don't worry, here it comes. I've said it before, I'm not excited for the Book of Boba Fett. I've never really understood the intrigue around the character. Because like it's a guy in a suit. He looks like it's a cool looking suit, to be sure, but I don't think it's really necessarily a cool thing where it's like, oh, this is gonna be the story going forward. And it's like I never liked Boba Fett. Plus I got shouted down when I was in the third grade by this one asshole on the school bus who, like, you know, he was so like obsessed with Jango Fett that, like, I remember when when a new Attack of the Clones came out, like, he was so excited, like, oh, Jango Fett's gonna be in this, there's gonna be another one, and it's gonna be cool, he's got a cool costume, it's gonna be awesome. And he went into a full screaming meltdown on the bus. A certain slur was thrown around very liberally in regard to Mace Windu and his purple lightsaber, because he killed Jango Fett, and that was wrong, and he shouldn't have killed Jango Fett because Jango Fett's cool. And it's like, all right, buddy, just, you know, take a giant chill pill, calm the fuck down. Like, and it was something that always turned me off to the. I mean, I'm probably, that experience is probably what turned me off to the character as a whole. But I'm looking at this, and it's like, you know, I have no interest in watching Boba Fett in his own show. Like, it's basically like a spin-off of The Mandalorian about a character that we've already seen before, and it's like, I don't understand how it's going to differentiate itself enough from The Mandalorian to be interesting. Like, I could live without this show. Like, on a few levels, I could live without this show. So, like, the only way that this show could be done that would interest me is if they did Midnight Run, but with Boba Fett, which is that what's it called? It's a Robert De Niro movie where he's a bail bondsman and he has to go out and catch a bounty, and you gotta bring him back and he becomes friends with him. Like, that would be a cool movie to do with the Book of Boba Fett, but that's not gonna happen. It's just, Boba Fett is the coolest thing on the planet. Here's the suit for, 8 episodes, jerk off to the suit. Look at how great the suit is. Look at how cool Boba Fett is. It's like, it's not something that interests me in the slightest. It's just I have no interest in this show. So I want to just rip it off like a Band-Aid and get it over with. So Book of Boba Fett. And I think that the story that dropped the other day that I think resonated with me the most is Law and Order is coming back. NBC announced they have picked up Law and Order from Dick Wolf for a 21st season. And anyone who says that, spin-offs and connected universes and things like that are ruining movies, I think that we should really address the fact that, there is an entire night of television that is Chicago Night on NBC, and it is just 3 hours of the 3 hours of prime time. All 3 hours are dedicated to Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med. And there's another night that is just Law and Order, and it is Law and Order and Law and Order SVU, and, it's Organized Crime and SVU, soon to also include original Law and Order coming back. And it's look, you can bring it back, but viewership has gone down over the years because it's you got rid of the cast that everyone liked. It's they moved Sam Waterston out of the role as the DA, and, Hang'em McCoy was the one that everyone loved, and it's Jerry Orbach died. You can't bring him back. Everyone loved Green, I think was his name, who was, what's his name? Jesse L. Martin. I think his character killed someone, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of things here that, you can't bring back people you liked, and that's why, Law and Order LA only lasted one season. It's because we've grown attached to these characters, and who cares about these other people? I don't. So, I think that if we're gonna, if we're doing this and we're talking about the death of originality, I feel like these shows that are occupying 6 hours of prime time on one network, that's more of a problem to me than something else. When I see things like that, when I see things I don't know. And it feels wrong for me to complain about that when I watch the CW DC shows. But whatever. Which brings us to our next thing. Completely unrelated, Squid Game. Instead of talking about a movie, I'm going to talk about the first episode of Squid Game on Netflix, because I guess the marketing person at Netflix did a very good job of getting the word out about this, because I heard about it on my Google News feed. And it's this show is pretty cool, you got to watch it. And I was all right, I'll give it 2 episodes. And I gave it 2 episodes, and holy fuck. It is great. This is a great show. Apparently there is a dub. I did not know that, and I watched it subtitled last night. These first 2 episodes. And the basic premise of the show is you have this guy who's a shithead. No two ways about it. He steals money. He's a compulsive gambler. He's a shitty dad. But you can tell that, despite all these flaws, there's still something there where he's not a complete and total irredeemable shitbag. He's just he fell on hard times, and then things spiraled and the ball went out of control, and here we are now at rock bottom. And he gets the opportunity. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but he gets the opportunity to play in this children's game arena for a large amount of money. So he's I'll take it. And it's a really cool show about that. And then you get to episode 2. Episode 2 is probably my favorite hour of anything I've watched this year, because they were in this arena where their life is on the line. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it, because it's there wouldn't be a show if it weren't. When you start the show out, you're people are gonna end up dead. You can kind of figure that out just from the picture on the what it is. And I think the description even tells you that, it becomes deadly. And otherwise, there's no show. If there's no stakes like that, then, there's no interesting show. And they put it to a vote then. The people who are running the game put it to a vote. It's you can either continue on, or you can leave and win nothing. So they're like, all right, so they vote, and it votes, and, this is going to be a little spoilery. They vote that, they're going to leave. And the people are like, all right, fine, you voted to leave. And then we follow all of these people who were in the arena for the first game, and you understand completely when we get to the end of the episode and they're like, we have to go back. You understand completely why that decision happens. And, like, what brings these people to this level of desperation where I am going to put my life on the line to the point where it's like, everyone in that arena is going to end up dead except for one person. And I'm going to willingly put myself in that situation and for a reason. And you're like, yeah, I get it. I completely understand why they would do that. And it's a really interesting kind of look at humanity and the haves and the have-nots in a way that, like, kind of reminded me of Parasite. But it's a really good show. It's Korean. You can find it on Netflix. Definitely check it out. Oh my god, I love this show. Like, if it weren't for the fact that I had other things that I want to watch, I may just marathon through this. But next week I have a cool idea for the show that I kind of want to, talk about. So we have, that going on there. We're going to wrap up today with 2 listener questions. Number 1, I got a number of emails about this when I did the DC What If. I forgot Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. This is a simple explanation for this, and I appreciate the first person who emailed me about this, but the 12th and 15th and 30th, like, yeah, you're not the first person to catch it. Don't worry. Yes, it is a mistake. I fucked up. So you do not need to be the person to email me a week and a half later and tell me that I forgot. Rest assured, someone has already let me know that I forgot to include Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. So here we are, What If for Wonder Woman. I want to see a world for Wonder Woman where, what's her name? I don't remember the character's name. Robin Wright's character who gets killed on the beach. I want to see a world where she doesn't die. And no, because that wouldn't even lead to too much of a difference. Because it's not like that's really an inciting incident. I want to see a world where Ares decides to fade into the shadows rather than try to kill Diana directly. Because when we get to the third act of this movie and it becomes this Snyder-esque, like, shit show of flying debris and lightning and muted colors and screaming and nonsense, like, when we get to that part, I think that, that's cool, and it's cool that we get to see Ares in the costume and all of that, but I would have been happy with Diana defeating the German guy, and then Lupin showing up and being like, and like twirling his mustache and being like, he wasn't really Ares, I am, and then he unfolds his entire plan and then fades away. And then Ares is still there in the future. What does that world look like? I would like to see that. And then we get to Wonder Woman 1984. I've seen that movie once. I've really only seen that movie once, and I don't have fond memories of that movie to begin with. So what if, I don't know, like, what if the Dreamstone was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't have enough of an idea about what to point out about with that movie that would be interesting to change to make it a meaningful new movie. Like, what if... Because, like, what if there's a limit on the number of wishes you can make on the Dreamstone or whatever the hell it's called? Like, what if that existed? That would be silly. Like, even the idea of renouncing... Like, the movie is not as bad as you will make it out to be, but there's also not a lot to really latch on to. I also have to watch it a few more times before I can really concretely say what should change about the movie to create an interesting new story. But, like, what if, I don't know, like, what if it was Lex? Like, I feel like that'd be an interesting thing if it was Lex Senior instead of what's his name, instead of that other guy, Maxwell Lord. I don't know what else there is. So yeah. The other listener question is one that I'm very excited about. Listener question is, what would you do for episodes 10 through 12? I talked about this a little bit last week, with the idea that episodes 10 through 12 will inevitably come. But, I don't think that it's going to happen for a little bit. So what would I do for episodes 10 through 12? I thought about this a little bit, and I would say that even after everything that happened on Exegol, the dark side has not been defeated. Because here's the thing about the dark side. The dark side needs to not only be defeated, but in the same way Wonder Woman 1984 requires the renouncing of wishes to have a completed, culmination of what happens. I think that, like, the renouncement of evil needs to be unanimous and, loud and unanimous. So I don't think that happened in The Rise of Skywalker, because, like, there are ways to do it, but they didn't, where it's like, the idea that Rose had in The Last Jedi, where it's like, we don't win by killing what we hate, but by, saving what we love. It's like, well, yeah, you also need to have a war, so there needs to be some fighting. But, like, when you go in and it's like you have these rebels, in, and it's like they killed all the people on those ships, it's like, well, those people weren't conscripts. They were abducted and forced into it. Like, there's a lot there that you can play with. And I think that what I would play with is, like, Rey has the new Jedi Order, for lack of a better word. And then comes something from outside the universe. What was I saying? Something from outside of the galaxy shows up and is a big, dangerous thing. Like, be it the Grist, be it the Yuzan Vong, be it whatever you want to call it, the Kiss Ascendancy, some outside threat shows up and is like, hey, what's up? We're here to fuck you up. And the New Republic can't protect them. And I feel like if that was the case, where it's like that happens and then that's why the First Order showed up, that would have kind of given more, semblance to it, and why kind of it doesn't work. But, like, that happens, and now, the dark side is showing up in the same way it did under Palpatine, where it's someone who is cunning and ambitious and willing to use his, abilities to control, but not in a way that we would normally think. He's using it as the way a politician would wield it. And what we would do for 10 through 12 is we need to have not only a sound defeat of whatever form the dark side has taken at this point, but we also need a way to say concretely, we are done and this is it. We are renouncing the dark side. Where this idea where it's like, people are willing to embrace the dark for their safety is a cool idea that they could play with, where it's like, the average person is willing to embrace the person who wields the dark side over the Jedi. Why does that happen? And it's for their personal safety. And I think this idea where it's like, you can even say it's a resurgence of the Nihil. Like, there are so many factions and sects you can use where it's like the Jedi can't protect them. So why is it that, why are we allowing this to happen? And it's because we are putting aside, what is right for what makes us safe. And that would be a really poignant kind of story to tell. And that's where I would go with 10 through 12. Where now we have to say that, like, look, the dark side is universally wrong, and we need to be able to say that unequivocally and full-throatedly, which I think to an extent the sequel trilogy failed at. Where it's not something that the prequels had to do, because it had to end with the win of the dark side, which it does. And I don't think the original trilogy did it too, but then J.J. Abrams kind of retconned that away. And yeah, I get that the war wouldn't have just ended because the emperor died, but there are a lot of other moving parts there. So that's where I would go with it. So yeah, so we'll wrap up there for today. We'll be back next week with another new episode. Hopefully I'll watch a movie between now and then. I want to do a cool idea. We have live shows coming up on October 9th and October 17th at noon Eastern Time. You can find that will be live on Spreaker, Spreaker.com/user/30-minute reviews. Or if you don't want to type all that in, bit.ly/TMRPC. The episode on 10/9 will be half, talking about, well, probably less than half, like a quick rundown of cool things we have coming, with Vela and other stuff, Echo Alpha, and then like some of the what's going on with the Vela ongoings for the next year or so, and then Q&A, cool questions and answers. Anything you want to know, email them in using the contact form at the end of the episode. And the episode on the 17th, the 17th will be all summation of what's it called? All summation of what the hell was it called? DC fandom. And we'll be taking DC related questions as well. So until then, have a great rest of your week. Do you like the show? Do you hate the show? Are you indifferent to the show? No matter what, you should probably let us know what we're doing so we can change it to better suit you, the listener's needs. You can go to either bit.ly/BOScontact, which is a contact form page you can use. Also, you can just email us directly at 30minutereviews@gmail.com. If you have questions that you would like us to answer, we can answer them on the air. We have a few questions every week that will be selected to be answered on air. So if you want to tell us what we should do, or if you have a suggestion for a movie or a TV show or something we should cover, go to bit.ly/BOScontact and also email us 30minutereviews@gmail.com.